Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 9. Prahlada pacifies Lord Narasimhadeva with his prayers. Text 10. At least one we have. Vipradvishad gunayutad aravindanabha Vipradvishad gunayutad aravindanabha Padaravinda vimukhat swapacham varishtham Padaravinda vimukhat swapacham varishtham Manye tadarpita mano vachane hitardha Manye tadarpita mano vachane hitardha Pranam punati sakulam natu bhurimanaha Pranam punati sakulam natu bhurimanaha. Anyone? Vipradvishad gunayutad aravindanabha Padaravinda vimukhat swapacham varishtham Manye tadarpita mano vachane hitardha Pranam punati sakulam natu bhurimanaha. Okay, read word to word meaning. Viprat, then a Brahmana, Dvishat Gunayutad, qualified with 12 Brahminical qualities. Aravindanabha, Lord Vishnu, who has a lotus growing from his navel. Padaravinda, to the lotus feet of the Lord. Vimukhat, not interested in devotional service. Swapacham, one born in a low family or a dog eater. Varishtham, more glorious. Manye, I consider. Tat arpita, surrendered unto the lotus feet of the Lord. Manaha, his mind. Vachaha, vachana, words. Ihita, every endeavor. Ardha, wealth. Pranam, and life. Punati, purifies. Saha, he, the devotee. Kulam, his family. Na, not. Tu, but. Bhurimanaha, one who falsely thinks himself to be in a prestigious position. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Translation. If a Brahmana has all 12 of the Brahminical qualifications, as they are stated in the book called Sanat Sujata, but is not a devotee and is averse to the lotus feet of the Lord, he is certainly lower than a devotee who is a dog eater, but who has dedicated everything, mind, words, activities, wealth, and life to the Supreme Lord. Such a devotee is better than such a Brahmana, because the devotee can purify his whole family, whereas the so called Brahmana in a position of false prestige cannot purify even himself. Please repeat. If a Brahmana has all 12 of the Brahminical qualifications, as they are stated in the book called Sanat Sujata, but is not a devotee and is averse to the lotus feet of the Lord, he is certainly lower than a devotee who is a dog eater, but who has dedicated everything mind, words, activities, wealth, and life to the Supreme Lord. Such a devotee is better than such a Brahmana because the devotee can purify his whole family, whereas the so called Brahmana, in a position of false prestige, cannot purify even himself. Purport. Here is a statement by Prahlad Maharaj, one of the 12 authorities, regarding the distinction between a devotee and a Brahmana expert in Karma Kanda or Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. There are 4 Varnas and 4 Ashramas which divide human society. But the central principle is to become a first class pure devotee. It is stated in the Hari Bhakti Sudhodaya, Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya Jati Shastram Japah Tapah Apranasyaiva Dehasya Mandanam Loka Ranjanam. If one is born in a high family like that of a Brahmana, Kshatriya, or Vaishya, but is not a devotee of the Lord, all his good qualifications as a Brahmana, Kshatriya, or Vaishya are null and void. Indeed, they are considered decorations of a dead body. I'll actually go through the purport as we go through the lecture. So we'll stop there. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Jai Srila Prabhupada. It's a beautiful verse spoken by Prahlad Maharaj. So what he's saying is, Viprat means better than a Vipra. Viprat, a Vipra who has Dvishat Guna Yutad. Viprat Dvishat Guna Yutad. He has all the 12 qualifications. Prabhupada lists these qualifications towards the end of the purport. Like, what are the qualities of a Brahmana? For example, in Bhagavad Gita it is said, Brahma Karma Swabhavajam, Krishna says, Shamo Damaha, Tapaha, Saucham, Shantirarjavam Evacha, Gnanam Vijnanam Astikyam. Like that, Prabhupada mentions these. There is a book called Sanat Sujata, where the qualifications of Brahmana, 12 qualifications of a Vipra are mentioned. Gnanam cha satyam cha damaha shrutam cha. So in this way, 12 qualities are mentioned. So a Vipra having these 12 qualifications, Dvishat Gunayutad Vipra, not ordinary Vipra, a Vipra having these 12 high qualifications, Dvishat Gunayutad Vipra, but what is his disqualification? Aravindanabha Padaravinda Vimukha. Aravindanabha means, who is Aravindanabha? Krishna, who is called Aravindanabha. And his lotus feet, Padaravinda. So lotus navel, lotus feet. Krishna, who is God. Aravindanabha Padaravinda Vimukhat. So a Vipra, even though having these 12 qualifications, but if he is Vimukha, Vimukha means Sumukha means what? Favorable. Vimukha means against, unfavorable, or not a devotee, not inclined, devoted to the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So even though he may be a Viprad Dvishat Guna Yutad, but if he is a Vimukhat to Padaravinda Vimukhat, Ravindanabha, better than him is Manye Tadarpita Manovachane Tardha, a person who is always engaged in Manaha, Vachaha, Indriya, Iha, Ardha, with his mind, words, actions, wealth, life, he is better. And the interesting thing is, Prahlad Maharaj says, even if he is born in a family of Swapacha, a dog eater family, a Chandala family, a Panchama family, that person is better than this Viprat Dvishat Guna Yutad. Swapacham Varishtham, because that Swapacha, born in that family, is Mano Vachane Hitardha. Pranam. He is able to engage completely in the service of the Lord. And by that activity, Punati Sakulam, he purifies himself as well as his whole family. That is the glorious activity of a Vaishnava, even though he is born in a Swapacha family. Punati Sakulam, along with his family, he purifies. But what about this Vipra? He is qualified fully. What about him? Natu Bhuri Manaha. This person who thinks himself Bhuri, great, with all these qualifications, he cannot even purify himself. So that is the verse. So now Prabhupada is quoting this in the very first portion of the purport. Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya Jati Shastram Japastapaha Apranasya Dehasya Mandanam Lokaranjanam. What it means is, if one has all various qualifications materially, they are like ornaments to him. Like our qualities are our ornaments, isn't it? But if he has one disqualification, what is that? Bhagavad Bhakti, not there. Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya, one who does not have Bhagavad Bhakti, he may have all decorated qualities. Jati Shastram Japas Tapaha. He is born in a great family, belongs to a great caste. He is very well versed in scriptures. Jati Shastram, well versed in chanting Vedic mantras, Japaha, well versed in austerities, Tapaha. But what is the use if he is Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya? All these decorations are like Apranasya Dehasya. Deha, our body, if it is Apranasya or a dead body, Mandanam, if you decorate it and then you take it on a ceremony, it will please some people, ordinary general populace. Hey, see how they are decorating this dead body, how glorious his body is. But after all, it's a dead body. So Loka Ranjanam, it may please some ordinary people, but it is of no use because it's a dead body after all. All those decorations count for nothing. Similarly, you may have all kinds of decorations, these qualifications, but one disqualification, Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya, it is like decorations of a dead body. Now this verse is mentioned in Hari Bhakti Sudhodaya, but spoken by none other than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya Leela. So one day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would be en route to Vrindavan. When he comes back from South India, he plans to go to Vrindavan. Now, he goes via Bengal. He goes to Kulia, the present-day Navadvip, meets all the devotees, and then starts going to other places. And then he stops in one place. Dead of the night, two people come with all blankets and disguising themselves. And people outside, they become a little concerned. Who are these people? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is awake. He's actually awaiting from them. He tells them, let them in. And who are these two people and what is this place? It's in Bengal, the border of Bengal. Two very prominent personalities disguised themselves in the dead of the night come to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Who are these two personalities? Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami. Because they were acting as the chief ministers in the government of Nawab, they cannot go openly. That will be like decrying their standard of religion as well as their post. So they disguise themselves and they go to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is a place called Ramakeli, and the border of Ganges. So they go and meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, fall at his lotus feet and offer him prayers. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestows them his causeless mercy. And there would be all devotees there. Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, Srivas Thakur, Gadadhar Pandit, all devotees are there. They're showering their mercy on these two brothers, Rupa and Sanatana. And the Lord instructs them that don't worry, very soon you'll have mercy of Krishna and you will get my shelter. And they leave, but they suggest that it's not very good for the Lord to stay there, so he should leave immediately. So he considers their suggestion and he goes back because a lot of people are accompanying him, a lot of crowds accompanying him to Vrindavan, and so he thinks that it is not congenial like this to go to Vrindavan. So he comes back. His attempt to go to Vrindavan fails. He comes back. And meanwhile, Rupa and Sanatana would be planning to how to get rid of their government position. So somehow Rupa Goswami escapes, taking all the money, boatloads of money he takes. He leaves 10,000 gold coins with a grocer so that it can help Sanatana Goswami get freed. But by the time Sanatana Goswami would be arrested by the Nawab, thinking that Sanatana Goswami is going to leave me. So Rupa Goswami escapes, Sanatana Goswami arrested. And then Rupa Goswami writes a letter to Sanatana Goswami saying, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is again planning to go to Vrindavan. So I and our younger brother Anupama, we are going to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So somehow I have left these 10,000 gold coins. So you take the help of that, somehow you find a way to free yourself from the jail. So that is another episode, one of the most interesting episodes in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, how Sanatana Goswami frees himself from the jail by bribing that jailer using these 10,000 coins. So anyway, so Sanatana Goswami is stuck like that. Rupa Goswami and his younger brother Anupama go to Vrindavan. But en route, they find that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu already finished Vrindavan visit and came to this place called Prayag. What is Prayag? Huh? Chennai? Triveni Sangam, yeah. So Prayag, it's now called Prayagraj, right? It used to be called Allahabad. So it's the Sangam, Triveni Sangam. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes there, and then Rupa Goswami and his brother Anupama, they go to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they again fall at his feet and start offering their prayers. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu receives them. And at this time, another important personality comes to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Vallabha Bhatta. So this is Vallabhacharya. Anybody knows Vallabhacharya? There is a Vallabhacharya Sampradaya, very famous in Gujarat and many parts of Mumbai. So he used to be contemporary. Actually, he used to fall at the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and respect him. And later he formed his own Sampradaya. So he comes to discuss Srimad Bhagavatam with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then he sees these two brothers. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduces them. And as he tries to go near them, these two brothers start to run away. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, oh, don't worry, they are untouchables. Whereas you are a very great learned scholar, expert in Vedic scriptures, expert in chanting Vedic mantras, expert in performing Vedic sacrifices. So don't go near them, they are untouchables. But indirectly, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is hinting, Vallabhacharya, that in general, people who are puffed up with their Vedic academic expertise, they tend to treat people who are not of the same caste little lower, and they don't understand that even though they are chanting the holy name, by dint of which they have already surpassed their low qualification, people who are still puffed up, they don't consider that. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives a hint to Vallabhacharya. And then Chaitanya Vallabhacharya understands that hint that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving. That Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking me, don't consider them lowly. And then he responds, no, how can they be lowly? They are always chanting. I can see that they are always chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then he supports his statement with some scriptural statements. Especially one from Srimad Bhagavatam, spoken by Mother Devahuti. So what he says is a very important verse and very interesting verse that we should understand, spoken by Mother Devahuti and quoted by Vallabhacharya to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So what it says is, Aho batas swapachato gariyan yajjihvagre vartate namatubhyam tepus tapaste juhuvuhu sasnuhu arya brahmanuchur namagrananti ete. Vallabhacharya gives a very important understanding of the position of those who are chanting Hare Krishna. Yad jihvagre vartate namatubhyam. Jihvagre means at the tip of the tongue of those who always chant the holy names of Krishna. That people, even if they are swapacha, they are greater than even an initiated Brahmana. Aho bata swapachoto gariyan yajjihvagre vartate namatubhyam. And they are supposed to have performed tepus tapaste juhuvuhu sasnuhu arya. In the previous lives, they would have already performed austerities, Vedic sacrifices, chanting of Vedic mantras, taken bath in all kinds of holy places. It is understood that they have done all of that, and now they are chanting Hare Krishna, or the holy name of the Lord. That is the position of those who are chanting holy name. That means they are even greater than somebody who is only doing these Brahminical things but not chanting. Here is a very interesting question. Now, if that is indeed true, if one who is chanting Hare Krishna is supposed to have done all kinds of things in the past lives, performed Vedic sacrifices, performed Vedic austerities, performed holy bathing in all holy places, chanting Vedic mantras, charities. So does it mean that all the people that are chanting the holy name, including the hippies that were chanting in those days, or even now the lowly people who get introduced to this chanting and start the chanting of the holy name, the most sinful of the sinners, does it mean that all of them have done all these things in the previous lives? Or does it also mean that unless you do those things, you will not be able to take up chanting? So that means chanting becomes dependent on those. So then why not people encourage people to do all those things? Because anyway, you will not be able to take up chanting unless you do those. This is an interesting consideration, isn't it? So what is the answer? Is it a requirement that all of those things must have been satisfied in order to you to come to the stage of chanting? Or anybody who is taken up chanting and chanting are supposed to have done all those things? No? But then it says, no? Aho bata swapachoto gariyan. Very nice. The causeless mercy of the spiritual master. We have been given this even though we didn't deserve it. So in this context, I've read a purport. Prabhupada clarifies this in 4th chapter 24, 4th canto 24th chapter 14th verse. Very attentively you listen this. So basically this context is where this prachetas, who are these prachetas? The 10 prachetas, they come in the 4th canto. Huh? Not sons of Daksha, sons of Prachinabarhi. So he orders them to beget children and take the ruling of the kingdom. So now they go to perform austerities. It is said that they go to a ocean and they perform austerities under the ocean, not at the shore of the ocean, within the water for 10,000 years. In Satya Yuga, they used to live for 100,000. 100,000? Yeah, maybe. So they performed austerities for 10,000 years. And there Prabhupada mentions this interesting point. So Prabhupada says, he quotes this verse that we were discussing. Aho bhatasvapachoto gariyan, as Vallabhacharya quoted. And then he says, even if a person is born in a family of Chandalas, the lowest birth one can get in human society, he is glorious if he chants the holy names of the Lord. For it is to be understood that by such chanting, a devotee definitely proves that he underwent all kinds of austerities in his previous life. Now, by the grace of Lord Chaitanya, one who chants the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, attains the highest perfectional stage which had previously been attained by people who entered the ocean and executed austerities for 10,000 years. See what Prabhupada says? By the grace of Lord Chaitanya, we get the same qualification, same result as people were able to get by doing austerities for 10,000 years within the ocean. So by the causeless mercy, as Mataji said, of a pure devotee, we have been given this mantra. We didn't deserve it. Apamaram yo vitatara gauraha. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and distributed this to people who are undeserving, unqualified. Apamaram. We didn't qualify any of these ways. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave the grace. By the grace of Lord Chaitanya, anybody who takes this chanting, he gets the same quality or same result of performing all these austerities. And then we become qualified to chant the holy name in purity. So it is not necessary that one must have done all these things. Of course, it's possible that many devotees must have done all these things to be able to get qualification to chant Hare Krishna. But it is not that only if you do those, you will get qualified to chant Hare Krishna. Because by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, everybody is given this. So we should not ask people to go do all those things. We should ask people to take up chanting Hare Krishna. That is why we say chant Panchatattva. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So Vallabhacharya says that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu approves that, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quotes this verse, Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya Jati Shastram Japastapah, that we were discussing in the purport. Now, the other point Prabhupada mentions in the purport. This is a very important principle in bhakti, and we quote this verse quite often. I want to see if people remember this. Mam chayo avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sadgunan samatitya etan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Now why Prabhupada is quoting this? Because even though one is born in a Swapacha family, is not even part of Varnashrama, but by Mam chayo avyabhicharena bhakti yogena, if he serves Krishna with avyabhicharena bhakti yogena, he becomes transcendental to these modes. Sa gunan samatitya etan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So, the principle to understand here, very important principle. So, does it mean anybody who comes to temple, who is, say, we assign some services to different people, Somebody comes to temple, or even a neophyte, for example, who has taken up Krishna consciousness, who is serving. Does he immediately come to the Brahman platform because he is serving? Mam chayo avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityetan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Does he come to the Brahma Bhuyaya platform, Brahma Bhuta platform, surpassing all the qualified Brahmanas who are not serving Lord? Ajnata Sukriti, okay. So the condition is mentioned by Krishna. Avyabhicharena bhakti yogena. So what is this avyabhicharena bhakti yogena? So what is the condition with which you come to that Brahma Bhuyaya platform? The condition is given. What is that? Avyabhicharena bhakti yogena. What is that avyabhicharena means? That is one meaning. Avyabhicharena means he is saying anyabhilashita shunyam. One pointed focus. So I have actually searched, if you go to Vani quotes, you will get avyabhicharena means. So there you will get all Prabhupada's instructions wherever he said. So what Prabhupada said is, avyabhicharena, 2-3 things he said. In one place he said, avyabhicharena means without deviation, strictly on rigid principles. The second place he said, avyabhicharena means without any flaw, without any fault, simply according to the restriction or instruction of the Shastra and spiritual master. One is strictly following and engaged in devotional service. In the third place he said, avyabhicharena means, as Vishal said, without deviation, Shuddha Bhakti, Anyabhilashita Shunyam. Now, this may be a little discouraging to a lot of people. Oh, that means I am not qualified. I cannot come to that Brahma Bhuta platform. But the thing is, even if you don't understand, even if you are unable, if you think I'm not on the platform of Anyabhilashita Shunyam, but if you strictly follow what is given to you by the spiritual master, you can come to that platform. I'll give a very good analogy. So let's assume that this whole material world, people are, this compared to like an ocean, right? Let's consider the ocean. Huge ocean with huge waves tossing us around. And all the conditioned souls are like people thrown into that ocean. And they are being tossed around mercilessly by this. Some people are drowning, some people are being tossed around. And some people are trying to navigate through some small boats and all that. But there is a huge steamer, huge boat, very stable, going smoothly. And a captain and captain's servants, they come and with ropes, they put the ropes down to the people. Hey, people, come on, catch up, and we'll pull you up. And then people who catch up, they are pulled up onto the boat, and they become stabilized, and they become very happy and relieved. So this is the analogy. So there is this material world where people are all struggling, and then this spiritual master comes, and along with him comes the Brahma Bhuta platform, the platform of the boat, where he pulls everyone using his servants, representatives, so everyone can come to that Brahma Bhuta platform. Now there is a condition. Because that ocean is very turbulent, the boat also keeps rocking. So they are all given instructions. Whoever comes onto the boat, they're all given instruction sheet. So if the boat tilts this way, you need to hold this pillar. If the boat tilts that way, you need to hold this rope. While walking, you need to hold this. While putting your right feet, you need to hold this. While lying down, you need to do this. All the instructions are given. Now, if you don't follow the instructions, what will happen? One big wave, you will be thrown back into the ocean. So now you fell from Brahma Bhuta platform, you came down. Why? Because you didn't follow the instructions to stay stable on the ocean. And again, you start shouting, "Oh, Prabhu, please lift me up." And again, they throw the rope. And again, you are lifted up. And again, you don't follow, what will happen? Again, you'll be thrown down. This is one category, unable to follow the instructions. The second category, voluntarily jumping. You know it is not good. Voluntarily you jump, you transgress the instructions, and people are all shouting from there, "Why did you jump? Come back, come back." No, let me take a swim sometime. And then when the waves start to throw you around, then, "Oh, Prabhu, please lift me up." So, Brahmabhuta platform is not automatic. As long as you stick by the injunctions given by the spiritual master, you remain on the Brahmabhuta platform of serving Krishna. It affords you that stability. The moment you transgress or you want to explore, you want to do whatever you want, you'll by yourself you come down. It is not that Krishna is throwing, you're by yourself coming down. So that is how one should understand. Now, this Brahmana, the Vipra, what is the position of this Vipra in this whole analogy? Huh? The voluntarily jumping, he has not even come there. No, Vipra has not surrendered to Krishna. Only devotee has surrendered to Krishna. So Vipra, so in this ocean, there are small boats, I saw, right? Small part-time boats. They go for a pleasure, right? Can they withstand huge waves? It will get toppled. So Vipra thinks, the Brahmana thinks, now I am stable in this ocean. I am in the boat. These people are all struggling. People in the mode of ignorance means they are completely drowned. Mode of passion means sometimes they are coming up. The waves are tossing you around. Sometimes you are coming out of the ocean and being relieved. Oh, this is happiness. Let me go to a place where more tossing, where I can come out of this water. That is the position of people in mode of passion. Ignorance means drowning. Passion means looking for that relief. Goodness means, let me find a small boat. Not guaranteed. Even person who is a Brahmana, who thinks he is in a small ship, but it will get toppled. A strong wave comes. The only safety is that big steamer ship, which doesn't get toppled. Titanic may get toppled, but that ship of Krishna consciousness does not get toppled. But provided you stay on the Brahmabhuta platform, following the instructions of the spiritual master. So that is the importance of the shloka. Mam chayo avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sa gunan samatitya. Now you understand how that person surpasses these gunas, that ocean's waves, and situates on the Brahmabhuta platform. Now the last point Prabhupada mentions. So Prahlad Maharaj mentions in this verse. So this person, Sakulam, he purifies himself along with his family, who is engaged in devotional service. Whereas the person who is not, cannot even purify himself. So Prabhupada mentions in the purport that this devotee purifies their whole families, so much so that a mother of a devotee at the time of her death inquired about Krishna with her last breath. So Prabhupada is quoting this incident where there is a devotee called Kartikeya in Prabhupada's time. His mother was not very favorable and always challenging him, always questioning his belief, chastising him. But he kept on preaching to her. He kept on encouraging her. But she could not become a devotee. But finally, she was on her deathbed. And this devotee went to see her. And then she was saying, so you are saying Krishna is there. Where is he now? Is he here? Where is your Krishna? And then she died. See? Where is your Krishna? The last word she spoke was, "Where is your Krishna?" And Prabhupada, so this Kartikeya Prabhu went and told that to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada told in a lecture, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, if anybody thinks of him at the time of death, they go to Krishna. So Prabhupada said she went to Krishna. See the fortune a parent of a devotee gets, even though they are not devotees. Sakulam, he purifies the whole family. There is another wonderful instance like this. There is another devotee whose mother similarly was not devoted. So they would have, she was very scholarly, philosophical almost, but she could not believe about Krishna and this devotional things. She was always sad that her son gave up and joined this Krishna consciousness movement. So he would try to preach to her, send her books many times, and she would never read them. And things passed like that. For a long time, she never showed any interest. But one day, when he called, this devotee called his mother, she said, "Hey, I have one request to you. Can you take me to Vrindavan? Krishna's Vrindavan." And then this devotee becomes shocked. Out of nowhere, she's asking, "Take me to Vrindavan." So why would she do that? And then he tries to process that. He says, "Oh yeah, why not? I will take you to Vrindavan. I'll tell you all about it." And then because the devotee was fully, exhausted with services, he says, "I'll call you tomorrow and we will discuss all about it, and I'm very happy for that." And then he hangs up the phone. And then the next day morning, he wakes up and finishes all his duties and chanting and all that and calls her. And then this time, his brother answers the call, Pete. So there is a long silence. And then this devotee starts to second guess what must have happened. And then as he feared, his brother Pete says, "Mom passed away last night." And then he becomes devastated. She was talking about Vrindavan and all of that. And then Pete says, "You know what? She has been battling with cancer for the last 6 months. And then she didn't want you to know about it. She didn't want you to get disturbed." And then this devotee becomes even more devastated. So what did she was talking about Vrindavan, what did she say finally, in the final moments? And he actually tells him what happened in the last 6 months. The moment she figured out that she got a cancer, her whole life changed. She became very contemplative. And she started to go to that garage where she was storing all the books that you sent her, that Prabhupada's books, and she started to dust them off and started to read them. And the only thing she would do the whole day was just reading. And then she would take a pen and she would underline some portions of it, try to read it again. And she would get some tapes, order some tapes from the ministry, and she would hear them. So like that, she was doing that like that for the 6 months. And finally, last night, before she passed away, she said, "Don't cry for me. I am not a body. I am eternal soul. I will never die. I am going to Krishna." This is what she said before she died. "I'm going to Krishna." And then she died. And then the devotee was like in tears. But he was saying, like, even if I get that opportunity to say Krishna at the time of death, that I consider that to be most glorious. And that my mother got it, even though not being an active devotee through the life. And then her wish to him was, "Take me to Vrindavan." So this devotee goes to her memorial service and then gets the ashes and gives to a devotee who goes to Vrindavan and puts that in Yamuna. Then he feels satisfied. At least he has taken care of her last wish of going to Vrindavan in that way. So as you can see, a devotee can purify the whole family. In fact, Prabhupada many times said, he can purify up to 14 generations. So one time, one devotee asked, Pushta Krishna Prabhu asked, Prabhupada, what does it mean by 14 generations become liberated? Because by a devotee, he liberates 14 generations, isn't it? So this devotee asked, what does it mean by 14 generations being liberated? Pushta Krishna, one who becomes a devotee, the statement is that 14 generations of his family, past, present, and future, become liberated. So, what kind of liberation that the family members of a pure Vaishnava get? Prabhupada. Liberation means, so let me see what your guess is. What does Prabhupada say? What would Prabhupada say here? So 14 generations becoming liberated. Huh? Away from death? What does it mean by that? They'll go to Krishna Loka. Okay, not a bad guess. Yes. So Prabhupada says liberation means, that is explained by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to become devotee. That is liberation. To become a devotee is itself liberation. So they get the chance to become devotees. Krishna becomes merciful upon their family members. And what to speak of liberation? They are promoted to being devotees, or gives them the best chance to be devotees. So that's what your family members will get by taking up devotional service. Any other questions, comments? How do we differentiate whether we are doing false? Everybody thinks I am doing the right thing. How do we know I am doing the right thing or not? Okay, so question back to you. Say you are in office, right? You're delivering a project. How do you know you are delivering the right project? You are implementing the software the way it is supposed to be implemented or not. How do you know? Customer feedback. So that means you already implement and then give it to the customer, and then you tell me whether I implement it. There are stages, right? There is a design stage where you have to present it to the other people. They have to approve your design. Then you have to code it, you have to unit test it. Every moment, every step, there are checks and balances, and your manager is overseeing all of that. He has to approve your work, and he has to rate you. If you have messed up any of these things, your rating will get affected. Same way, when we are in association of devotees, we'll have the senior devotees who are counseling us, who will set our path correct if we are going incorrectly. And our spiritual master and his representatives will correct us, will give us our rating. If you are doing wrong, you'll be corrected. So therefore, there is no way that you can go wrong if you are in the association of devotees and association of Prabhupada's system. Okay. Grandaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.